take a me. I grew up as a kid. Rabbi Feiglin would come over to the house to Fabring, and I took it for granted, everything you did. And the older I am, the more I appreciate and see how amazing it is. So please, if you can come, Rabbi Feiglin, share a few words.
Thank you, Yuri. Yes, the Drizens were always a great host to Aliyah. Every year they invite Chaim Chila Riba. Yes, every Sukkot invite the whole Bnei Aliyah for a meal and for praying with your father. We had some very, very special memories over there. So, at the Kinnos, Shluchim every year, one of the highlights is the roll call. Everyone gets excited by the roll call. So sometimes at Aliyah, after a good Farbrengen, and sometimes we get up and do a roll call. The Shluchim from Europe stand up, and then the guys with the Yarmulke will stand up. The Shluchim from Canada stand up. Some guys stand up. Shluchim from the 50 states of America will stand up, and it's sometimes we do a hakafa for the Shluchim on the pastoral, and it's all good energy. Anyway, just before I came here, I was sitting around at Aliyah this afternoon, and with a few of the chevra. It happened to be that the chevra that were there at that time were all grew up on shluchas. So I said, I'm talking to all the new Shluchim tonight. What do you think I should share? Well, what should be my message to the Shluchim? And they all said unanimously that the kids have to come before the Balbatim. That was their message for me to share. So I said, okay, well, you're going to get the front line, because as he said, we'll be done. Anyways, people always ask me, how do we get into this? My wife and I, how did it begin? I grew up in a street. People think, she's Crown Heights. Well, it could be closer to home, but actually I probably grew up the furthest place from Crown Heights, 10,000 miles away in Melbourne, Australia. But how did I get here? So before I got married, I was on Shluchas. I was helping my good friend Uri Perlman start up Yeshiva in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Phenomenal program, changed the lives of thousands, literally over the years. And the following year, I got married. I was in Koil in Crown Heights, and wife and I were looking to go on Shluchas. We had a few college campuses we were looking to go to, and we kept writing to a letter for the Rebbe for a bracha to go. And one time we opened up Igris, and Igris says that you got to be going to a place where there is a kehillah, where there's rabbanim, and where we were going to go firstly was Penn State University. I think the closest mikveh was like a 2-hour drive, and you kind of make a kehillah because it's a college campus. So we didn't see how the Rebbe's answer would fit in with this. Then we wrote in another time later on, and at that time I was in Koil. Back then I was on Union Street, and instead of a lot of my chavrusas during the day were the chevra that I learned in Wilkes-Barre with the year before. I had a lot of guys coming to Koil and learning with me, and I kept up relationships once a week. I made a farbrengen for them, and then we wrote in a letter at the same time. And also Uri Perlman used to mention, it's nice that we have this thing in Pennsylvania for the kids, but what about the kids who stay in Crown Heights? Where are they going to go? What's for them? They need a base. They need a local base. And then we wrote into the Rebbe again, and the Rebbe says, you got to continue doing what you're doing. Keep up with what you're doing. So that was that. And here we are today, Baruch Hashem, 22 years later. Baruch Hashem, we built a beautiful Beis Chabad on East New York Avenue. We have with a gym, with the lounge, with a beautiful rooftop deck. We probably have the biggest sukkah in Crown Heights right now with the deck. We just last year we built the first one at a time mikveh, which is one person at a time. Made a beautiful mikveh where guys take appointments with a little schwitz in there. It was designed by Maggie Rogatsky. It's in memory of Moshe Deitch, Ol V'Shalom. He's in Shalom Heaven Aliyah. Every guy who uses it is in his chus. And it's incredible what we have. We're zocheh to have this beautiful Chabad house, and Baruch Hashem, we have many, many lives that come through, and we get to connect with a lot of very, very special Bachrim, and we get to hear a lot. And just to share some stories of some guys that come through. So I have one guy grew up in Shluchas, doesn't matter where, and he tells me, I invite him to my Pesach Seder. I said, you should come to the Seder. You don't have to stay for the whole time. You don't need to do Haggadah. You can just do some wine, some matzah. We know. We're all good. He says, Rabbi Feiglin, I will never go to a Seder for the rest of my life. I said, why not? So he says, because when I was a young boy and we had a public Seder in the Chabad house, And my father asked me to get up because a guest came and he needed my seat. He asked me to give him my seat, and so I gave up my seat. The rest of the night, I roamed around the Chabad house, bored, aimlessly, couldn't wait to go home and go to bed. I didn't do any manishtana. I didn't drink any wine. Didn't have any matzah. I wasn't involved. I didn't matter. My existence there was not important. And pretty much since then, I really don't care much for Pesach. And this is just one of many stories. Guys tell us all the time that, how do we make Chabad care about our own? Why are we always concerned about the rest of the world, but we're not concerned about our own kids? Now, I know that plenty of Shluchim, most Shluchim, obviously we all love our own kids. We do a lot. And I'm sure you all grew up the way I grew up. That you get to Shluchim, blood, we have to go all out, Mesiras Nefesh, and which is 100% true. We all have tremendous Mesiras Nefesh, and we're dedicated to our Shluchim fully. And it almost makes sense that we just assume that the kids are kind of just going to go along with that flow. They're going to see our commitment and our dedication, and how ready we are with Mesiras Nefesh, and they're just going to kind of follow suit. But there's a saying that says that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think that really applies. When we make our kids feel like they're part of the shluchos, and we appreciate them and we value them, and they come before the Baal Batim, they come before even the Gevirim, and they come before everybody, which is not easy. I'm not going to say that it's an easy job, because we have pressure. Shluchim we have budgets, we have bills to pay, we have responsibilities. We have Shluchim have a lot going on in their lives, a tremendous amount going on in their lives, and and the kids often, understandably, could feel pushed to the wayside, but they need the attention more than everybody else, and when they feel that they're more important, then the shluchos becomes more important as well. I happen to be very lucky because my wife, Baruch Hashem, from the beginning, she says the kids come first before anybody else, before all the guests. They're the priority. So Baruch Hashem, because of that, we were able to stay focused, and we just made a Pesach storm for the Chevra. And we make sure every time we do a big Seder, a big Shabbos meal for all the guys, we'll make sure the next meal we don't have any guests, so we can focus on them, and they can look at their Haggadahs, that we can listen to what they learn in school, and we can give them their attention that they need, so they can feel important, and we tell them how important they are. And it's something you got to constantly remind ourselves and constantly remember, because it's really important. So aside from the house, and also aside in general, when you see somebody who looks like he may have grown up religious, but he's not so religious now, they also, or chetzi, they also need the kiruv. They also need it. I was recently at a wedding, and a whole bunch of guys says, Rabbi Feigen, we don't know what we'd do without Aliyah. We recently there was a Pegisha in Crown Heights, and for young people, and they showed up to Pegisha. They figured, it looks like a cool thing. We're gonna meet some interesting people. They show up there, and one of the organizers saw them, and he came out to greet them, and he said, "Oh, what's going on? How you doing?" He was very friendly and very welcoming. And then during the conversation, he realized that these kids all lived in Crown Heights, and at that point, he didn't really talk anymore. He says, "Okay, I gotta go," and that was the end of that conversation. And these kids were feeling so put down. They felt so belittled from that ordeal that they came to me and said, "What should we do?" I said, "Well, we got to keep sharing the word that unzera have to come first. Our kids are the ones that matter most. And we shouldn't have to wait until they take off the yarmulkes, until they start putting on film, because if we give them the unconditional love that we give the Baal Batim, if we give it to them early on in the game, then we can prevent that. Now, I'm sure everyone's heard of Avi Fishoff. Avi Fishoff does incredible, powerful parenting workshops, and we have a lot of parents that go to him. And Avi's tremendous when the kid is already completely not religious, but imagine if we could integrate that into the homes before they go off. Imagine we can give them the same unconditional love and acceptance that we give someone who's not religious. Once a kid is not religious, everyone kind of works out. We know what to do then. When someone's not religious, we all know exactly how to approach them. But when they're still on the fringe, when on the border, when we're this way, that way, that's when we got to come in there and show them love and show them acceptance and spend time with them and go out with them and talk to them and give each kid individual time, individual attention. And it really works. It's the best possible investment that we could do, and it works. I have a kid grew up in Shluchim in Ukraine, and he tells me, "You know, I'm religious today because when I bumped into you on Kingston Avenue, and I wasn't wearing my yarmulke, and I saw you, and I was almost embarrassed to see you, and I thought that you're gonna make a comment to me about my yarmulke, but instead you gave me a smile and you said, 'How you doing?' And when you gave me that smile and said, 'How you doing?' and you didn't mention anything about my yarmulke, I felt unconditional love, and I knew that I matter, even though I'm not wearing my yarmulke on Kingston Avenue. I knew that I matter, and Baruch Hashem, I'm from today. Baruch Hashem, over the years, we see a lot of these kids. They come back, and they come back strong, and they do mafsayim. We've had some of the kids that came through Aliyah, and now Shluchim in some of these in Wilkes-Barre and other yeshivas. When they come back strong, and these are powerful kids. They don't just go with the flow. They're not sheep. They're powerful people, and we have a lot to invest in. Baruch Hashem, we're making chasnas almost every month. We have a chasna of a guy, and before the chasna, they do chassan classes. She goes to mikveh first, from chasnas, and they want to do everything by the book, and it works. Baruch Hashem, Deri Shem Mevarach. And it shouldn't just be that, I'm not talking about this is my shluchus, this is our shluchus, this is a collective shluchus. I remember one Friday night, I was walking back from Shalom Zachar, and I bumped into a whole bunch of kids on the corner, and there were some on their bikes with their phones and their yarmulkes on, and I was schmoozing with them and hanging out with them. And a guy walks by, passes me, and he sees me the next day. He says, "Rabbi Feiglin, you have a really hard shluchus." He says, "It's not me, we. It's all of us together. You could have said hello to those guys also. You could have smiled to those guys. You could have said good Shabbos. You could ask them how they're doing. You know, this is something we're all in this together. This is our shluchus. This is the most important shluchus today. Ones are kids. What's more important? These are the ones who are going to continue Chabad. These are the ones who are going to open Chabad houses. These are the ones that bring Mashiach. This is ultimate. And you know what? These kids have tremendous emunah and have tremendous koyach, and they're really, really, really incredible. And they have a lot of Avos Yisrael. And when you give them that love that we give to our Baal Batim, they come back stronger than ever. So L'chaim is a night of L'chachil Riba, so we should all experience L'chachil in our own shluchas, in our collective shluchas, and I have no doubt that we're all going to see tremendous atzlacha, and we see the ultimate atzlacha through the achdus coming together. We should turn over the final step of Gula. L'chaim. That's good.
Okay.
Fine.
For our next speaker,